Welcome, my friends, to live streaming coverage of GP Rotterdam. Riley Knight alongside Simon Gertzen in the booth. We can't believe our luck. It's great to have your company along with us for this ride. Simon, we're into the final round of the Swiss here at GP Rotterdam. The standings are in front of you, my friend. Tell us what we're looking at here.
Levi, Saito and Jazani are in because they have 36 points. They're leading the Swiss. However, they're playing against Dominguez, Carvalho and Salvado. So it's not clear what's going to happen there. Depending on who wins there, the team of Carvalho might be in or not.
Just very quickly looking at what we've got on the screen here. Gearshift Ace kicking things off for Dama de Rosa as Gratti adds to the board with a Prakana Pillarbug after his Scrap Heap Scrounger.
I'll continue. We have, and this is where we are now, in spots rank 3 and 4. We have the team of Gratti versus the team of Dama de Rosa. So they are just playing very cleanly for a spot in the top 4, and so do the team of Frank Karsten, Hall of Famer Frank Karsten, against Marcotti, Melillo, and Marcotti. There's also a team that has an outside shot, which is Martin Bernard and Nguyen versus Junhao, Kelvin, and Fabian.
So those guys not on the screen right now. It is all about Strasky, Dama de Rosa, Shenha versus Alcaraz, Gratti and Tuduri. As you said, Simon, a nice clean win and in for these players here. Dama de Rosa looks to be on a pretty dedicated vehicles deck here. DePala, the pilot exemplar, joining Gearshift Ace here. Nice bit of synergy here for Dama de Rosa. We'll see if he can execute on this plan. Pedro Gratti, a little bit of a less streamlined approach, I suppose. All artifact creatures in black and white. This color combination's had some success this weekend.
Could give us an idea of what kind of synergies Gratti is trying to work with here. Paulo's vehicle synergies could be really, really strong, however.
So still yet to see a vehicle here. Oh no, Skyskiff is going to join the party. Here is the Aviary Mechanic as well. Often the Aviary Mechanic is able to snag some value with its Enter the Battlefield trigger, but nothing like that happening for the Brazilian this time. So Gratti now with 2 mana, missing a land drop. It seems like might be sandbagging a land here. We see Prophetic Prism comes down. Gratti draws. Didn't see the card he had a look at there, but here is the 4th land. So no stumbling so far for Gratti. And it's now the trusty companion. Down comes the Hyena.
By the way, a lot of teams with 10 wins, so 10 wins and 3 losses, leading the pack in place number 9 is the team of Mike Ron, Hain, and Hohen. But they will, according to our math, not be able to make the top 4.
Even with a win, 33 points isn't going to be enough to get them off the top. By the look of things, it's going to be a pretty tight race to the finish here. Levi, Saito, and Dazani, the only team who are certain to make it.
Yes, the cut will be at 35, maybe 34 points.
So a few interesting matches to play out here, but of course it's all the action in front of you right now that matters at the moment, because we've got, as we said, a clear win and in between Dama de Rosa, Strasky, Shenha versus their opponents Alcaraz, Gratti and Tuduri. And on top of that, Karsten, Voss and Mellis fighting against Marcotti, Melillo. Winner of those ones, they go straight to the top 4. Top 4 coverage to follow after the Swiss round's completed. You'll have BDM and Matej Zadelkai offering their expert insight onto this draft format.
Team draft. Yeah.
Team draft, a slightly different beast to a regular 8-man draft. The pilot exemplar comes across now. Oh, sorry, crewing the Skyskiff. And
not making use of the triggered ability, and which we've seen in Constructed a fair bit. Activating, playing Axe and getting more vehicles, more dwarfs. But of course, in Limited, that's a less reliable activation.
So Rosa presumably will follow it up as well. And yes, indeed, Aviary going to bounce a land, and we see Renegade Freighter here come down as well. So a nice bit of manipulation there for Dama de Rosa, able to snag 5 mana out of 4 lands across his turn here. Is he happy enough to trade the previous Aviary Mechanic? Didn't list Ace in a better defense.
And that the DePala changing the combat math here, because dwarves and vehicles on PVDDR's side get +1/+1.
That's a great point. Of course, the Gearshift Ace and the Aviary Mechanic, both 3/3s now. Or sorry, 3 power creatures. The Gearshift Ace, a 3/2 first strike. Both of them dwarves.
Yeah, Dwarf Artificer and Dwarf Pilot, respectively.
So, No lands in the hand of Dama de Rosa, but I would imagine that most of his cards are going to be castable off four lands. See what he can leverage here. Pedro Grati joining another creature to his forces here.
If PV at some point doesn't have a play, he can still try to find more cards with the Palace ability. So he's really in a pretty good position here.
Well, as it is Depala not piloting a vehicle here, looks like the Renegade Freighter and the Skyskiff are going across the battlefield now. Grati has a Syndicate Trafficker and a bunch of artifacts here, so he can potentially do some tricky things.
I just wanted to mention this. The important thing is that the Renegade Freighter has first strike, but it's also a 6/5, which I think Grati just confirmed. You want to make sure that the trigger resolved. So in this case, you would have to sacrifice 2 artifacts to actually make this work. And there's a certain danger that PV has some kind of trick here to punish you.
And we see exactly that. And look at Dama de Rosa's hand. I'd be so suspicious of this because his hand is just lingering over his mana here.
You know, sometimes you have to go for it.
And so Syndicate Trafficker, pay 1, sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it gains indestructible. And here, Pedro Grati fearlessly sacrificing half of his board into the Trafficker and being paid back in spades for it.
He didn't have many choices there, and the Prophetic Prism was basically a free sacrifice. And once that resolved, the Trafficker was already indestructible. So it wasn't actually too dangerous of a line.
No, being able to sacrifice 2 artifacts was key there, because obviously if Dama de Rosa were able to, say, Welding Sparks or something, or a Harness Lightning in response to the first activation, the second one would have cleared things up nicely. So Grati in a good spot there, and now he has a 4/2. Oh, sorry, a 5/3.
The most scary card once again would have been Built to Smash, because sure you get your 5/3, but you didn't deal with the scary creature on the other side of the board.
Yeah, and you're going to take some trample damage as well. Let's see now. Taking to the skies here. Propeller Pioneer, the play for Grati. Choosing a servo token rather than making it a 3/2 flyer. Decent card, this one, at a good rate. Really, either half of it is a respectable choice here. Grati obviously looking to expand the width of his board a little bit here.
He also gets more fodder for his Syndicate Trafficker.
That's a great point.
Even having the 1 mana available. On the ground now, I don't expect too much happening.
Well, the Aviary Mechanic is going to jump aboard the Skyskiff. And De Rosa now playing his 5th land and shipping.
He has a Propeller Pioneer of his own, but isn't really forced to deploy it. I think we'll see a large Depala activation at the end of Grati's turn.
Yeah, I think that this is what we're going to see, because of course the Depala can crew a vehicle that's already tapped. That's not an issue. And it doesn't matter how the Depala becomes tapped. As long as it becomes tapped, you can activate it. And I think that's a nice little line here for De Rosa. He's not under a huge amount of pressure.
No, the only really scary card is the Trafficker. So it's really interesting to see how PV wants to play against it. Does he block it because this game is not really progressing on the ground and he has the card advantage going? Or is he content to raise and take 5 damage here?
I think you just take it, because the Skyskiff is really getting work done, especially with the Pilot Exemplar powering it up.
But what's your value of the 3/4 that's just lying around? That to me is the more important question.
Yeah, sure.
Because
we see here De Rosa take that line. Trading. So De Rosa here choosing to trade the Consul Shield Guard with the servo token and take 2 in the air.
Yeah, and effectively gaining 5 life in the process.
Grati with a follow-up play now. And this is a card that we've seen all day and all night here with the Glint Sleeve Artisan coming down. And here's Depala, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Already 1 hit, 2 hits. And we see Skyskiff and the Gear Shift A. So this is a very, very good-looking deck with Dama de Rosa. Etherstorm Rock also revealed. Neither a Dwarf nor a Pilot, unfortunately. or a vehicle.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
It's a bird.
It's a bird.
It's a bird, yeah. It says it on the card. Creature, bird. Ether Storm Rock, an absolute rock-solid bomb here, and I know Dama de Rosa will be a little disappointed to find it at the bottom of his library. Still, 2 free cards off the top is nice, and here's Veteran Motorist. Eddie Tail Hawk amongst the cards on offer for De Rosa. Man, I don't like that card.
Eddie Tail Hawk?
I don't like it. So low impact, especially in a deck like this.
I love the synergy between scrying and activating the Pala.
Yeah. So here comes now Sky's Gift as a 4-power flyer, which is just huge. The Veteran Motorist teaming up with Depala Pilot Exemplar. And then we're going to see Sky's Gift number 2. So De Rosa really has an Air Force going on here. That seems to be the route that he's going to try to take to victory. See what Grady has to say about this. This Syndicate Trafficker is pretty enormous now as a 6/4. And still plenty of food for it to chomp up. We saw Glint Sleeve Artisan create a servo token, and the juicier sacrifice target hasn't even been used yet. Filigree Familiar. That's good eating.
Once again, I'm a bit surprised that a black-white deck in this Team Seal format has not cast a single removal spell. To me, this just seems like something that you cannot afford to do, because it's so easy to lose to a single interaction or a single creature, like that Depala, which dominated this game.
And a lot of attractive removal options in both of these colors between Sky Whaler, Shot, Die Young. And the combat tricks are absolutely exceptional as well. One thing we've really seen today, Simon Gertzen, is the incredible efficiency. Oh no, PV's just put that card facing the wrong way in. That's going to come back to bite him. Is the efficiency and strength of the 2-mana black combat tricks. Rush of Vitality and Subtle Strike have really impressed me today.
Yes, both. And the fact that they are difficult to play around. One of them you might be running into the other. So he has a chump block. So chump blocking keeps him alive, but otherwise he's looking pretty dead here.
Propeller Pioneer now. You have to assume that Dama de Rosa is in here. His vehicles are just enormous. Sky Skiff as a 3/4. Oh, and interesting to see that the Veteran Motorist may not be considered the best pilot for the other Sky Skiff.
Actually, it's not too important to pump up the power of the Sky Skiffs right now, because they're already threatening lethal.
It's a lethal attack as it is now.
And this way you can actually give first strike and or +1/+1.
Yeah, here's the sick tech.
At instant speed.
Look at this now. So tapping the Gear Shift Ace, or indeed the Veteran Motorist, will put this Sky Skiff out of range here.
Oh, it's not even within range right now.
Oh, sorry, yes, that's right. It's just a 2/1 Propeller Pioneer.
But if Grati, for example, had a trick now...
De Rosa considering how he's going to play this one out.
He can deal the 1 point of extra damage. I'm not sure if I love that. It doesn't accomplish all that much.
So using the Veteran Motorist to give the unblocked Sky Skiff +1/+1, and Grady's just going to take it down to 2.
This does make the Propeller Pioneer, which is a human and not a dwarf, lethal as well on this board. And Pedro, even if he has a Fumigate, yeah, that's probably what he needs to come back here. It doesn't look like his deck is really a Fumigate deck though. From how aggressive his creatures line up.
Scrapheap Scrounger coming back to the battlefield now. And it looks like we're going to see an activation. Oh, look at this. So 3 mana, +1/+1 counter, and it comes back again now. We're going to see another sacrifice. No, but that was more or less free. Exile a card from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on your creature. Not so bad here. Nice little bit of tech here for Pedro Grati. But his back's against the wall.
Yeah, I'm not too impressed by that tech, to be honest. Don't see how that is going to change the course of the game at all.
No, well, still important to do it. Filigree Familiar being eaten up by the Trafficker. Can Grati find an answer? He cannot. He scoops up his cards, and Paulo Vito Dama de Rosa takes this game in very convincing fashion, I have to say. Let's see if he notices that card is upside down. He does! Oh, fantastic stuff. That is how you get into the Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen. PVDDR moving on to game number 2 after picking up the first game very handily, Simon Gertzen. Impressive stuff from him.
Yep, great deck. Depala Dwarf Pilot deck really showing the power of synergy in this format.
Yeah, a lot of synergy. That was the point that I wanted to pick up on then. A lot of synergy. The fact that you know, when you're opening 12 boosters for these events, you're going to find a lot of synergy to exploit in the 3 decks that you make, but also just raw power. We saw the other Storm Rock, and his opponent Pedro Grady is going to have to think about that in game 2. Right now, however, it's back to the game 1 between and Aniel or Alcaraz. This is not the first time we've seen this deck on the battlefield, and it seems to be at straps pretty severely here. Key interaction between Whirl of Virtuoso and Era of Innovation. It only requires a fabrication module to truly become degenerate and busted.
It appears that there is some confusion about the timing of things. It looks like Strasky thinking about blocking, moving his Gate Serpent, and then activating Whirl of Virtuoso. This is usually a case of just having a bit of out-of-order sequencing going on. It was not the intention of Strasky to block with the Serpent, only with the Serpent, as you can clearly see from his side of the battlefield.
Yeah, and I think what's important to note here is this is a specific instance that's covered by the rules of out-of-order sequencing, especially with lands that can turn into creatures. You know, it's in a game of Paper Magic, often you'll go block, block, activate, block, and that's fine. That's covered by these rules here. So we'll see if Strasky is able to make the blocks that he wanted to, or whether Alcaraz's argument is going to hold some water here. Difficult time for us to come into a match. We can still evaluate exactly what's going on here. Looks like Aniel Alcatraz does have some pretty aggressive creatures on the battlefield. And it looks like here we are going to see... Oh no, the discussion continues. Players still sorting out exactly what's going on here. But for those who may not have seen Andre Strasky's deck so far, quite an impressive little mechanism, little engine that's been built up between the interaction between Whirl of Virtuoso, Fabrication Module, and Era of Innovation. Simon Gertzen effectively allowing, once those 3 cards are out, allowing Andre Strasky to create a Thopter token for 1 mana, seeing as the energy required replaces itself with the module and the Era of Innovation.
Once you have the module, which is not the case right now, right?
No, but that is that's the end point here for Strasky's deck, and he's got ways to search it out of his library. We saw in a previous round Andre Strasky activate the second, or the second ability of Inventor's Fair to snag the Fabrication Module and just go absolutely bananas.
The first ability being add 1 mana to your mana?
Yeah, that was what I was going for there. Still counts. These sorts of combos are often a rare sight. In limited formats, we don't often see decks comboing off, so to speak, but we have seen it so far with this one, and there have been some particularly ridiculous draft decks that I've seen here, there, and everywhere posted around the internet when the cards have just fallen the right way for the people drafting.
Yeah, this team sealed format will not lead to the kind of decks, to the kind of most extreme decks you can find in this limit.
Looks like things have been straightened out here, and Strasky has been able to create the creatures that he wanted to create, and now he's going to go ahead and block.
I think that's the only reasonable ruling. It's exactly what I expected. I'm actually quite surprised there was such a big discussion about it.
And here we're going to see what looks like, it's going to be an uncommon effect with Select for Inspection. That Ballista Charger potentially faulty. Better have another look at it. And Strasky gaining even more value out of his blue instant there by putting a card at the bottom of his library thanks to scrying. Ballista Charger, of course, is 6/6 for 5, crew 3, and pings for 1 whenever it attacks. Creature or a player. Handy little ability, especially when you're facing off against Thopters, but Strasky's going to be at no shortage of Thopters this game, I would say.
He's also, once again, working with the Era of Innovation. Or Invention? What is it?
Innovation.
Innovation. Is it 10 energy? I can't quite make it out, but he has a lot of energy to work with.
It seems to me to be 2 energy that he's got there.
Ah, yeah.
2 or 12?
2 means he's actually currently not able to make a Thopter.
Yeah. Looks like it may be 5, in fact.
Well, it's going up, right?
Yeah.
It's going increasing from...
Every time an artifact enters the battlefield, can pay 1 and snag 2 energy. So now Strasky is in a position to go off 3 mana, or no, not quite, because again the fabrication module is still missing. Either Theorist joining the party, and it's back to Alcaraz. See what he can find. With 5 mana, what's it going to be? It is the Ballista Charger, by the look of things. Made one cheaper, of course, by the Foundry Inspector. Back to Strasky now. Seems to me that Alcaraz has given Strasky the breathing room he needs for his deck to start hitting its straps here.
And that's the crucial thing. You're playing against a black-red aggro deck, and once your combo gets going, you're just guaranteed to win the late game. There's no way around it. Talking about winning, the team of Strasky is doing really well here, having won the first 2 games.
Yeah, they're in a commanding position as they move into the middle stretch of this matchup. Strasky creates another Thopter here. Considering using an energy to scry in his upkeep. Obviously has a particular card in mind that he's looking for. He wants to dig to that fabrication module.
But it's expensive to spend energy on scrying when you have an active Virtuoso.
Decides against it. Just going to draw. Trust the top of the deck is going to treat him well. And we see now an attack with the 3/1/1s. Alcaraz, without any responses, has to take it here. And now Verla Virtuoso number 2.
Yeah, that's just insane.
So we see now here a bunch more mana.
It's an Artificer, so...
Yeah, so it still triggers the Era of Innovation.
Exactly, and then you get 3 more energy for more Thopters, which again triggers the Era of Innovation. So this is really, really strong.
So those Thopters basically costing just one energy at this point, 1 energy and 1 mana. Seeing as when they enter the battlefield, that Era of Innovation buffs up Strasky's energy reserve.
Ballista Charger is not the worst answer to these this kind of Thopter generating, but attacking a 5/5 into your opponent's Gearseeker Serpent is not what you want to be doing.
I think the Ballista Charger is a 6/6, but that still gives Strasky some blocks here, as we see all of the creatures come in across the battlefield.
You're right, I was mistaken. So then it's a different topic. It's certainly more attractive to go all out here.
Strasky can add 3 more blockers to the board at instant speed, don't forget. But Alcaraz must be holding something here, because this attack is almost all in.
We've talked about combo tricks so often. By now, everybody knows what to expect. There's Build to Smash, there is Rush of Vitality, and there is Subtle Strike, which I believe Alcaraz has put to the forefront of his hand.
1 red and 1 black mana could also mean something like a Chandra's Pyrohelix or a Harnessed Lightning. But it has been the common tricks that we've seen do so much work this weekend.
The important thing for Strasky here is that he knows if he comes out ahead in these kind of exchanges, every turn that goes by favors him with the combo potential that he's building up to.
Yeah, every draw step for him is one step closer that he gets to more or less being able to just go off. And here we see now a Subtle Strike. Foundry Inspector, the only card. Oh no, it has been blocked. Sorry, excuse me. So that's a tidy little play there for Alcaraz. Looks like a 2 for 3 there.
Could have put the +1/+1 counter on his Krigsmith Genius, so that it would have actually stuck around. Not quite symmetrical, the Subtle Strike. Strasky didn't even have to expose a single one of his Artificers Whirler Virtuosos into combat there.
No, keeping them back well and truly, as they are the engines of this deck, and he's lucky to be able to have 2 of them spare in case one runs out.
Note that the decision not to scry not only gave him the Whirler Virtuoso, which he was happy to draw anyway, he also had that extra blocker available.
Yeah, that's true. That other theorist was able to make sure the Morphis squad got off the table. Menace ability, sometimes playing havoc with people's blocks, but not in this case, as Strasky continues to navigate with enormous proficiency.
Strasky is going to go for a 2-turn approach here, with the Gear Seeker Serpent threatening to close out the game, but with no real reason to overextend here when it's not really necessary.
So just an attack for 3 now, and here is the module. So this is where things can turn the corner here. Decoction module now meaning that Strasky is in a position to make Thopters for just 1 mana. Thanks to the era of innovation, thanks to the Whirler Virtuoso, the engine is well and truly revved up.
So 5 Thopters being threatened, and with double Whirler Virtuoso and more than 6 energy, I believe, there is really no way to disrupt this, at least this turn.
Four mana.
If this had been an Incendiary Sabotage, it would have gotten a bit more interesting. But I think the, what is it, Door Mauler?
The Doorbuster.
Doorbuster. Morphis Doorbuster. It's a bit late to the party.
Well, just like the flavor text, knock knock too late. Seems to be the entrance that the Doorbuster has made here, snagging Alcaraz 2 extra energy, but the falter effect isn't so good against 5 instant speed Thopters here. And look at this, one of the Whirler Virtuosos is going to throw itself in front of the Ballista Charger.
It's not even a falter effect, right? It's a only when it attacks, one creature can't block, so it's actually almost useless on this battlefield.
So back to Strasky. Is he?
Oh, did he not have the energy required to
Doesn't
make
seem
Thopters?
like he was able to play the Thopters. Oh, he paid 4 to unsummon the Whirler Virtuoso to make sure he would have the energy there. So that Whirler Virtuoso is indeed in his hand.
But that only makes sense if he didn't have the energy already.
But instead, we just have an attack for lethal here as Andrei Strasky makes it a clean sweep in game number 1 for his team. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 for Strasky, Damaderosa, and Shen Ha. A neat little attack for 9 there with the 4 Thopter tokens and the Gear Seeker Serpent. So not having to do any more work there in getting himself over the line. Andrei Strasky's deck continues to fire on all cylinders. Really impressive stuff from him. We move back now to Polavita Damaderosa, the man with the name so long it clips over the graphics, and Pedro Gratti, his opponent. We saw Damaderosa handily take out game number 1 on the back of Depala and some other pretty crucial vehicle synergies here.
We are just in time to witness an insane combat step. Gratti lost his Foundry Screecher and his 3/1 Menace Screecher to a Sky Skiff and the Warden, because they were both pumped by Depala, and Gratti apparently missed that interaction.
So the Fairgrounds Warden is a dwarf, a dwarven soldier, so the Warden benefits from the buff provided by the Pale Exemplar. Sky Whaler's shot as well here to wreak some havoc. Looks like it's going to render the servo, however. It's going to hit the bin.
The reasoning behind that reasoning behind that line is twofold. First, Paulo gets to scry, so he has a higher chance of finding the lands he's missing. At the same time, he is removing the only artifact from Gratti's board. So now the Syndicate Trafficker is less likely to become indestructible, and the underhanded designs are not a concern for the near future.
Damaderosa also stuck on 3 lands here, which is not at the point at which the Pilot Exemplar really shines. You want plenty of mana to be able to invest into her activated ability here. These players in perilously low life totals as well. We see an attack with the 2-4. The Skyskiff hanging back.
Apparently, Fairgrounds Warden maybe ate a token. That seems the most likely scenario.
Gear shift ace now. 3-2 first strike. Once again, Depala proving her worth here. Seems like most of Dama de Rosa's decks are either dwarves or pilots.
Yes.
Or vehicles.
And Grati needs an artifact here. An artifact to trigger the Underhanded Designs and threaten lethal with the Syndicate Trafficker.
Instead, ships the turn. 6 mana available to him. And look at this. Here we have the Pilot Exemplar on the big whiffski here. And Etherstorm Rock the draw for Dama de Rosa. Oh, that is cruel. Will he continue to peck away at the life total of Pedro Grati? Looks like we might see an attack with the Fairgrounds Warden here. Skyskiff in the hands of Dama de Rosa. Oh no, it's going to be the Skyskiff that attacks. And that second one in the hand of the Brazilian.
Not easy to maneuver here, because you are also very, very close to dying.
So in comes the Skyskiff, across for 3. Also buffed up thanks to the Pilot Exemplar. And now it's Skyskiff number 2.
Is Grati holding a Fumigate? I only got a glimpse of it, but it would be a super interesting card here, because it doesn't deal with the Skyskiffs, and you don't have the artifact to keep your Trafficker around. So it's, in a sense, it's the worst time to have a Fumigate in hand. To be honest, I don't like it against this vehicle-heavy deck of PV at all.
No, not sorcery speed removal. Not at its best against the vehicle decks. Looks like Grati is just going to have to ship the turn. Impulses for a land. Has to put the land on the bottom. Oh, Dama de Rosa draws and finds a 4-drop. Propeller Pioneer, uncastable. So De Rosa now will be wary into attacking into open mana, but with 2 Skyskiff hits will finish it.
Yeah, the problem is if you activate both, you are risking quite a lot.
Well, looks like Dama de Rosa is the man to take that risk, as both Skyskiffs get powered up, or one at least. Still thinking about the second.
PV really wanted a veteran motorist, because then either one of his would have been lethal.
So an attack now, gear shift ace, a 3-2 first strike on the round, and the Skyskiff a 3-4 flyer.
I like this better, because it gives him, leaves him with better defensive options.
Yep. And now Grati forced to respond.
Skywhale shot for the Skyskiff maybe? To prepare a Fumigate?
No, look at this. Wow, we're going to see a mini sweeper type effect as a black instant is deployed. All of Dama de Rosa's creatures getting -1/-1. Make obsolete is the card coming down now.
But on its own, it doesn't do anything on this board, so...
Make obsolete in conjunction with impeccable timing does, however. As we see the gear shift ace shrunk down to a 2-1. And the Skyskiff shrunk down to a dead creature. Pedro Grati taking 2 here. And down to 2.
Could have double blocked. Wasn't out of the question here. It's this turn is going to reveal what exactly is going on here.
So an attack now with both the Propeller Pioneer.
I think Paulo has to now realize that something is up, and this block is absolutely crucial. Do you block with your Fairgrounds Warden, or do you try to block with the Skyskiff? And if you realize, or if you consider that a mass removal like Fumigate is basically all that PV needs.
PV sends another land below with an activation of Depala here.
I like this. I like this really conservative block that also keeps the Skyskiff around.
And now here is the Fumigate, and that's tidy as well for Pedro Grati, as it means that the Sky Skiff, formerly a problem, is going to hit the bin because of its situation as a creature. And Grati now, with only one card, 2 cards in hand after that draw step, is going to have to pull something together to reduce Dama de Rosa's life total.
That's
a Glint Sleeve Artisan is a great start.
Great draw in conjunction with the underhanded designs. Wow.
So really back right at it here, emptying his hands, and Dama de Rosa finally finding that 4th land. He sent about 4 million of them underneath his deck, thanks to Depala, but that Fumigate has really turned things around here.
The Fumigate in combination with the mana troubles have allowed it for Grati to come back, and only because of the life gain offered by Fumigate.
Yeah, I really love the rider attached to the latest 5 mana sweeper. We've seen other cards like that end hostilities and such like, providing a bit of upside for the 5 mana destroy all creatures. But here we have a Furious Reprisal.
Yeah,
appropriate.
Taking things right back, because if Grati now does not follow up with high impact cards, he might still lose this. Oh,
Bastion Mastodon certainly counts. A 4/5. Going to drain Paulo Vita Dama de Rosa for 1 here off the back of the underhanded designs. And we're going to see now Propeller Pioneer. Once again, these sorts of armies in cans here, thanks to the Fabricate mechanic, mean that stabilization plays are made a little bit easier.
But the designs are live now. I think this spells doom for PV. Even after such great sequences that we witnessed.
So the Mastodon chomps up a servo, and the other servo gets through. Dama de Rosa down to 2 now. Can he find a way out? Aviary Mechanic offers him a body in addition to an extra mana, but it looks like it might be Etherstorm Rock here.
But is it too late? The underhanded designs are just threatening to kill whatever he plays, so...
Yes, now that Grati has 2 artifacts, it means that the designs can be used as more or less a Doomblade here.
Yeah, but it's still correct to wait to see what you draw, because if you draw an artifact...
That 1 point of life could be really valuable.
You're just very, very lucky to... Or it's very, very possible that you're actually winning on this turn.
So give the Bastion Mastodon Vigilance, and now Paulo Vita Dama de Rosa is dead to any artifact, or sorry, any attack I should say, and he recognizes it, so he scoops them up, and Pedro Grati equalizes against the Hall of Famer 1-1. Well done indeed to him. He managed to really get some huge value out of his cards, and that Fumigate turned the game around in a big way.
And probably even if the Sky Skiff had been lying around, it probably still would have done the job, because going from 2 up to 7 or 6 was what turned the race around.
So unlucky for Dama de Rosa, especially as he was unable to hit his 4th land for so long, meant that he couldn't unload his hand and perhaps poke through those extra points of damage. But well maneuvered by his opponent. Really, really impressed by Grati there and his the way in which he managed to pull a victory out of thin air.
Yeah, also pulled himself together after that failed attack with the Depala pump. Changing the combat math to his disadvantage.
Didn't get too tilted after making a mistake, which is such an important skill to have. We move now to Shahar Shenha, the 2-time world champion, against Ricard Tudori here. Fairground Trumpeter seems to be doing a fair bit of work, but look at this. It's the 5/5 Etherborn Marauder that I'm interested in on Shenha's side. But there is an enormous Leviathan on the side of Ricard Tudori here. Ethersquall Ancient.
With no energy at the moment, but it will create 3 every single upkeep.
And that's what we've just seen now, that D12 ticking up to 3 now. 3 energy in the bank for Tudori. And that activated ability of the Ethersquall Ancient looking pretty good against Shenha's board here. Attune with Ether. Oh, pushing it up to 5 energy.
That's a lot more scary all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, we only need 3 more. This is getting very interesting indeed. And you can see that Ricard Tudori's deck is really heavily leaning on energy. Every single card on the battlefield, apart from the Wild Wanderer, has some kind of energy link here from Sage of Shayla's Claim, a card that is very close to being unplayable if you aren't in the business for 3 energy.
Apparently, there's also a Long Tusk Cup in the graveyard, and the blue-green uncommon.
Yeah, Imperial Voyager.
So very, very streamlined deck as it seems.
And this is what we've seen. Blue a bit maligned throughout the evaluation of this set in Limited, but really one of the powerhouse energy colours. See Shahar there. Looks like he might be going through his sideboard. Malfunction comes down. No energy here. And now an attack with the Ether Squall Ancient. Malfunction, a nice answer to the Etherborn Marauder, though.
Yeah, not the biggest synergy between Malfunction and Ether Squall Ancient.
Oh, no, excuse me. Was that Shenhar's graveyard he was looking through, or his sideboard?
Might have been his graveyard.
His library is looking very small. Maybe just be the way the cards are piled up, but it looks like there are only a handful of cards left in it. This is game number 2 here.
Difficult to tell at this angle. Could also be a few cards gone to the side, and it's still a stack. I
think based on the shadow there, I think it is only 2 or 3 or 4 cards, I think. Andres Strasky has won his second game, important to note, just meaning that this could be a deciding game if Shenhar is able to take things into the W zone.
I wouldn't be surprised if Strasky went 5-0 in individual matches today. His deck seemed
bonkers.
Perfect for the job, basically.
Yeah. As long as it was given enough room, as long as it wasn't paired against the most aggressive deck, I think he's in a good spot in a vacuum here. Shenhar now with the attack. Pima Outrider coming in addition to the Fairgrounds Trumpeter. So a couple of 4/4s getting into it. And we'll see how Taduri wants to respond to this.
He should make sure that he has enough power left to threaten a lethal attack on the backswing. Sure, there's always the ancient activation, but you don't want to rely on that alone.
Yeah, putting your opponent to 1 there is a tricky spot to be in. If Shenhar were on 6, this would be the easiest decision in the world for Taduri, because he knows exactly what he needs to do. 3. The other Squall Ancient, the raw power level of the Leviathan is Group C on the card.
Yeah, 7 drops, not at their best in this format.
No,
but certainly if you build your deck around it, one of the best cards to have.
I think this is what really separates Ether Squall Ancient from being whether it can or should be used or not. If it comes down with 8 energy already in your energy reserve, it's great. It's insane. But if you've got to wait around for the energy to tick up, I mean, 3 energy a turn, fair enough, but you have to rely on something else here in order for it to be a card you want to be in business with.
If it's your only energy-related card, it's actually quite bad, I would say.
Yeah, because 3 turns is too long to wait for that kind of thing.
And a 6/6 flyer for 7 is not a bomb in this format.
So let's see here. As Taduri lines up his blocks, looks like the Pima Outrider is going to come across unmolested here as a 4/4 trampler, difficult to block.
But no blocks on the Outrider on 6 life.
Doesn't seem to be.
That seems super loose. I think it's being crud blocked.
Oh, I see. That's that's how those blocks are being lined up there. All right.
Otherwise,
that makes a lot more sense.
Otherwise, he would be leaving himself that to too many cards.
Yeah. Okay. We see the Artisan come down, fabricating the servo. Yeah, it's confusing the way that Taduri lined up the cards. A very clear block on one side and then a little bit more of an ambiguous one on the other. Shahar Shenhar straightening out his permanents. And now it's up to Taduri. He's up to 8 mana. He can unsummon everything apart from the 6/6 here. Put his opponent to 1.
You know what's great about Highspire Artisan?
Tell me.
It has reach.
Yeah, we've seen people forget about that throughout the weekend.
It does mean that it's threatening to just soak up 6 points of damage. The plan of Just Lethal, I think, has been foiled by the common, the little common that could.
An attack with everything all the same here for Taduri. Will we see the turtle go upstairs as well? Doesn't look like it.
I don't think so. The 8 energy are a bit too powerful here.
So, Shenhar takes 2. 1 from the Thriving Turtle, 1 from the Ether Theorist.
Activate.
Will Taduri activate the Ether Squall Ancient? He does get the first opportunity to redeploy his board, which is incredibly powerful. And look at this, yes indeed, an activation of Ether Squall Ancient returns all the cards, all the non-land cards to their owner's hands here, apart from the Ancient.
Creatures. So the Malfunction didn't return.
Oh, I see. The Malfunction does go to the bin here. Wild Wanderer, nice one to replay. And Taduri with no splash here, just using the Wild Wanderer as a Farseek type effect. And Ether Theorist buffing up the energy total again, as does Thriving Turtle.
Actually, that's
8 energy once again.
That's a lock.
We are going to have to hurry away from this match, however, because we do have another deciding game coming your way from Paulo Vitor Damaderosa and Pedro Gradi. We could have our first confirmed top 8 appearance, or a second one, excuse me, as Damaderosa attacks in with what could be a lethal attack here. It looks very close to being finding an end of the game here, with Damaderosa definitely on the front foot.
Maybe not lethal, but certainly crushing.
Getting close to it for sure. Renegade Freighter targeted by an impeccable timing here.
4 points of trample from the Freighter. Yeah, Grady is on a lot of pressure, but he's not out of it. Once again, Fumigate could turn this game around. Prophetic Prism to find your second white source. Next turn, clear the board of the 2 bomb rares that PV has in play.
Yeah, these cards are both huge. Etherstorm Rock is just an absolute monster by itself. Depala needs a little bit more support with the cards around her, but huge power in that situation anyway. Prophetic Prism coming down.
But PV's deck has it. PV's deck has the support. I think his Depala is probably better than the Rock in his deck. Is he closing out the game? Start your engines.
Showing
Riley.
Start your engines, ladies and gentlemen. Start your engines. Is that going to be enough for an extension of the handshake? It is. So Paulo Vitor Damaderosa, off the back of Start Your Engines, manages to take his team into the top 4, and you can see very, very happy smiles on the faces of those 3 there. They've had a long and hard-fought road to the top, but congratulations indeed to those 3 for managing to make their way to the top 4. Paulo Vitor Damaderosa, Shahar Shenhar, and Andre Stratsky. You can see the goofy smile all over Stratsky's face. He's very, very happy, especially with that deck. Geez, he's done well throughout this round. It's time now to head back in time for our Time Walk match, and we've got another win and in here. Frank Karsten, Brett Voss, Bales Mellis. These guys are facing off Davide Marcotti and Emanuela Marcotti, in addition to Andrea Milillo, the latter of whom you see on your screen here. Very clear and easy way to look at it here as well. Whoever wins this this round also makes it into the top 4. So we're starting here as all 3 players begin their second game. You can see the results at the top of the screen. Frank Karsten has gone down in the first game, as has Andrea Milillo on the right-hand side of your screen. And Bas Mellis also losing. So the 2 Marcottis getting up in game number 1, in addition to Brett Voss here. So the Dutch team with their backs against the walls here as we move on to beginning game number 2 here. Kujar's Seed Sculptor coming down as a 2-3 on turn 2. Not a bad play, but the Nanam Cobra here as well, a respectable turn 2. And comes the 2-3.
Riley, I have some updates for us. The team of Levi Saito Desani was leading the pack at 36, and they were facing Dominguez, Carvalho, Salvado. However, these teams couldn't take a draw because that would have eliminated Carvalho and co, most likely. However, I've been told that Levi, Saito, and Desani were each leading in their games by 1 game, and then offered a draw, which was accepted. So most likely, Dominguez, Carvalho, and Salvado will miss the top 4 on tiebreakers, but because their chances were so slim to turn this match around, they were happy to accept the draw. At least that's what I'm hearing. Rather
than picking up a loss that seemed likely to come their way. As we look back now to Brent Voss, who is beginning his 3rd turn. Milillo adding a Voltaic Brawler to the battlefield after playing an attune with Ether, so plenty of energy for him there.
Sorry, I have to disrupt you again. The plot thickens because between the teams on table 7 and 8.
So that's Martin, Bernard, and Nguyen facing Junhao, Kelvin, and Fabian.
There are two players with. These are two teams with 31 points. One of them has a higher tiebreaker than Calvaro's team. The other one has a lower tiebreaker than Carvalho's team.
So it's going to take the Portuguese, to get into the top 4, it's going to take a victory from Junhao, Kelvin, and Fabian in order for them to then come in 5th.
And this is what has been confirmed. Junhao, Kelvin, Fabian win their match because of the draw taken by Carvalho, the risky draw. That might actually mean that the draft master of 2016 and his team will be in the top 4 by the slimmest of margins.
See how things shake out as this match also heads towards a conclusion. As Brent Voss adds a spy-side infiltrator to the battlefield. This game going along at a pretty leisurely pace here. Welding Sparks taking care of the Voltaic Brawler, and Melillo with nothing else to add to the battlefield. Only 2 cards in, or 3 cards in hand, it looks like, as the Seed Sculptor comes in. And we're going to see a block. So creatures trading off. And here's Arborback Stomper, a nice follow-up play here for Melillo after missing a turn 4 play, a nice strong one on turn 5, gaining 5 and adding to the board in a very, very reasonable fashion, up to 23.
There are not many 5-drops that impact games in this format as much as Arborback Stomper.
Yeah.
Because life totals are so important.
Yeah, we have seen the aggression of this format, and with Trample as well, you know that there's going to be a big swing thanks to the Arborback Stomper one way or another. Very difficult card to answer cleanly. And Fairgrounds Trumpeter, the follow-up play for Brent Voss, which isn't at its best now. And he's holding what looks like a pair of lands in addition to something that is zooming around at light speed in his hand.
Oh, I wasn't aware that these teams actually have 2 draws each. That's quite impressive. The impressive part not being the draws, but the fact that it's only 1 loss on both sides.
So now Melillo. Voss with the onboard answer to the 5-4 in the form of the Cobra. Looks like these players may be discussing their options with their teammates here.
But all games are still going on, so it's a bit surprising to see game halt like that.
Pima Outrider coming down. 4-4 Trample added to the battlefield.
Surprising that Melillo does not value the servo token highly. On defense, it would be a great deterrent for the Cobra to attack.
And now a Wayward Giant. So Voss had some beef to his side of the battlefield as well, as Melillo untaps his lands the wrong way. And this red-green mirror playing out a bit slower than we might have thought. Red-green decks often get off to blazingly fast starts off the back of cards like Thriving Grubs or Thriving Rhinos, perhaps a Voltaic Brawler or 2. Seed Sculptor number 2 coming down now. And we're going to see the +1/+1 counter placed on the Outrider. So now 2 5-powered trample creatures for Melillo.
5/5 also a great power and toughness to just make it very difficult for your opponent to attack you. However, if you have a chance, you should be the one that's attacking.
And that's exactly what Melillo does. Obviously, listening to your advice, Simon, as we see 2 5/5s get ready to smash some face.
But what's Melillo's plan against the Cobra? Does he just accept the fact that he loses one of his creatures?
I think that's just the price you pay for doing business with the snake of this kind. It's always going to get at least one creature.
But
Cobra.
But this means that, for example, the Death Touch Cobra on the 5/5 Trampler and the 4/5 giant on the 5/3 leaves Voss with the better board than the Milio who is currently attacking. I don't quite understand this.
Yeah, this is
the motivation behind this.
This is an attack that runs the risk of leaving, and we see a double block here. This is an attack that runs the risk of leaving your board looking a little bit empty here.
Yeah, this plays around blossoming defense, but not around ornamental curve. So I'm not sure if I like that double block too much.
Well, things seem to have shaken out pretty favorably for Brent Voss here as he starts his next turn. A land and 2 non-lands. They are going around just so fast here. Not getting a good look at what they are.
Spontaneous Artist and Riparian Tiger.
I mean, I knew that too. I just wanted to.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
To keep some mystery in there for the viewer, maybe.
Should I tell you what Mililo has in hand?
Please do.
I don't know. Pretty sure it's not a combat trick.
Pretty high impact cards there for Brent Voss. The Riparian Tiger, of course, one of the premium commons in green. Very efficiently costed body. Can get in for a bunch of damage as well, hitting for 6 pretty mercilessly.
It seems there is some confusion going on. Maybe about life totals, cards being exiled or not. Let's see.
Pima Outrider seems to be in the exile zone. I don't know why that's happened. Not a lot of interaction with the exile zone in this set, Zima.
No, I would actually think that they are showing it to a judge and talking about trample damage.
Oh, I see. So what may have happened here, because I've seen this come up a few times, is that if you don't indicate that your opponent has taken trample damage, then it's assumed that all of the damage that a creature was done that was actually assigned to the creature that was blocking it. And I saw Owen Turtenwald make this exact mistake at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkia, missing a few points of damage when he could have assigned the trample damage to his opponent, but missed it.
I find it at least questionable to define this as a mistake, but I understand the way it's handled. I remember was it Shadows over Innistrad? There was a creature that gave attacking werewolves or attacking creatures trample when it transformed into a werewolf, and that actually created some really weird situations because if you didn't announce anything, you wouldn't deal trample damage in these cases.
Is that right?
Well, just like you said, for block creatures, of course.
Spontaneous Artist coming in here, and look at this. Elegant Edgecrafters is going to gum up the works here for Brent Voss, who was on the offensive. In comes the Seed Shaper. Uncontested.
Voss having spent his only energy to attack with the Artist, and now it's a pretty big wall for Voss to overcome.
Riparian Tiger may have something to say about the size of that particular wall here. The Tiger is able to attack into a 5/6 pretty fearlessly here.
But also there are not many good blocks against a 5/6. So if Milio continues to draw reasonably sized creatures, he will also be a bit in trouble when it comes to blocking.
Pima Outrider is going to buff up the Fairgrounds Trumpeter as well now.
That's actually huge because now you do have multiple good double blocks or even a triple block available.
So that Edgecrafter held at bay for the time being, it would seem. See if Mililo has drawn something to get himself out of this here.
He needs a big creature of his own. He needs something with 4 toughness, preferably. On the other hand, as long as he has a 5/6, Brent Voss is not going to start suiciding creatures into it. Even if the Tiger comes down, attacking with everything is still super risky.
Yeah, with your opponent at 18. Oh, here's Hunter Week. This could really change things here. Hunter Week targeting the Fairgrounds Trumpeter means the Elegant Edgecrafters is going to end up as a 6/7.
Correct.
Taking the Trumpeter out of the equation and meaning that Tiger is also going to be held back and attuned with Ether the draw for Voss here.
Interesting decision between a 3/3 with the potential to grow and a 4/4 that has trample. I think both valid options for the Hunter Week there.
Riparian Tiger gaining 2 energy now for Brent Voss. Do you play the Attune with Ether here, or is it more valuable as an unknown card with 2 mana available to you?
I would play it. I don't think it's such a big deal that your opponent knows about the extra energy. It is, however, valuable to represent combat tricks.
Well, Melillo, with nothing further to say, ships the turn, but this looks like it might be a Hydra.
Well, I wouldn't have shuffled my library then either.
No, the correct play made by Brent Voss, inadvertently or no, as he snags another energy, or another 2 energy, I should say, with the Attune with Ether, but it is a Bristling Hydra that's come down now. 4/3 for 4. It gains 3 energy when you enter the battlefield, and you can pay 3 energy to make it a 1/1. Give it +1/+1 counter and hexproof. Effectively a 4-mana 5/4 hexproof, and even more than that now that Voss has got his hand on 7 energy.
Nice play by him as well to start off with the Attune with Ether, because it means that now he has 2 activations available. A single removal spell will not deal with the Hydra.
Bristling Hydra has been a powerhouse and constructed in the red-green energy deck, and it seems like Brent Voss is very happy to be able to lean on the Hydra now as a legitimate threat, but everything's still stonewalled by the Edgecrafters, which have just grown huge. Funny how that Hunt the Week really pushed things even further, and look at this. Looks like Melillo was holding on to 2 lands specifically for this. He's drawn a fresh hand of 3 cards, and it's a pretty nice little turnaround for him here. Cathartic Reunion, a pretty powerful card when you can leverage it in this way, turning 2 useless cards into 3 new cards.
Yeah, really nice. Furious Reprisal in Voss's hand could take out all but 1 creature, and then at some point I believe we will actually see a little earthquake here in Rotterdam, known for its unstable
terrain.
Shaky ground.
Right on the middle of one of the tectonic plates that bisects this poor country.
Yeah, they have a lot of issues. However, like, do you attack there with everything? It just seems completely suicidal.
Yeah, that Edgecrafters is really proving to be a huge thorn in the side of Brent Voss. His opponent on just too much life for it to be a consideration here.
I actually don't think that you should do anything. You just pass the turn. There's nothing your cards will do or should do at this stage in the game, and yeah, that's really all there is.
So now Voss talking to his teammates and considering his next move. Riparian Tiger is going to come in now as a 6/6. Voss paying 2 mana to buff up the 4/4 to a 6/6 trample. And he's holding a Furious Reprisal in hand. I think he's hoping to bait out a block here, because the Reprisal would be able to finish off the Edgecrafter. What do you think of this attack? You're shaking your head, Simon Goetz. Not a fan.
No, I think it's too obvious, you know? It's
still 6 damage.
Yeah, but what if Emilio has drawn something from his reunion? Then you've basically thrown away 2 of your best cards. You lose the Tiger, you play the Furious Reprisal, and then you trade it for an Ornamental Courage. And your chances of winning the game have gone down drastically. You can call me too conservative, because of course now it looks really good. You've dealt 6 damage for 2 energy, but this was a lot more risky than it looked.
We go back to Melillo now and see what he can find here. And it looks like it might be a Hunt the Week once again here, as the Elegant Edgecrafters gobble up another creature for dinner. What's on the menu?
Tiger.
Yes, indeed. Heading down to Tigerland now.
The Hydra doesn't like to be eaten, so...
No. Very, very chewy, bristly meat. Looks like Voss has drawn another card. It looked like a red card from what I saw of it.
No, it's the second Tiger.
It's another Tiger. Gone down to Punt Road and found himself a replacement here.
the old line, however, not going to work anymore because it's now an 8-9. Or is it an 8-9?
It's an 8-9, yeah.
So yeah, so exactly not working anymore.
Yes, that Hunt the Week providing Voss with little opportunity to remove the elegant edge crafters. So Voss having to think about how he's going to navigate the next few plays here. The options in his hand mean that he's not out of it. We see now Furia's Reprisal come down, taking care of both of the Seed Sculptors. Nice little 2 for 1. And then here comes the Tiger.
I'm not sure if you can hear it in the background, but we are watching a replay, a recorded match of round 15. And we are now apparently at the stage where the top 4 has been decided.
The top 4 announcement will be forthcoming, but of course we don't want to spoil the result of this just yet. So we'll see how things shake out here. Marcotti has gone up 2-0 against Frank Karsten here, and it looks like Brett Voss has managed to slay his opponent as well, 2-0. So it all comes down to Bas Mellis and Emmanuel Marcotti here. So Brett Voss taking things at the end of the day with some canny play and some nice attacks. Means that he's going to get there, and all eyes now on the final match of the round here. The final match of our Swiss coverage between Bas Mellis and Emmanuel Marcotti. It's an absolute nail-biter. It comes down to this. Both of these players here can win the game for their team. And as we do have the top 4 announcement having been made to the hall at large, we are very happy to be able to give you 75% of the people that have been announced. At the top of the standings, no surprises to learn that Rafael Levy, Tomoharu Sato and Jeremy Dazani on 37 points made it in number 1 at the end of the Swiss. Well done indeed to them, as we see a prophetic prism enter the battlefield under the side of Marcotti. In second place, Andrei Strasky, Polavita, Damida Rosa and Shahar Shenhar, as expected, Simon Gertzen have made it in. And
we saw them win their round at the beginning of this.
Yes, indeed, as the Avery mechanic comes across past the Foundry Screecher. And in fourth place, it is Dominguez, Carvalho and Salvato. After a narrow squeak there, managing to draw themselves into the top 4, and well done indeed to them. But the final spot, the number 3 spot, yet to be snagged by one of these teams. It could be Karsten Voss and Mellis. It could be Marcotti, Melillo and Marcotti. And I actually don't know who it is. Simon, I'm not sure how much attention you were paying to the announcement, but this is really going to come right down to the wire. Aerial Responder joining us on the battlefield in addition to the Aviary Mechanic. It looks like Marcotti has got underway too with a Foundry Screecher and a Filigree Familiar.
Bas Mellis is currently lacking blue mana, but if he finds an island, there's actually a Cloud Blazer waiting in his hand, ready to go. And he hasn't really missed anything yet, looking at his curve. No. I think the power level of the cards on the left is a bit higher, but both curves look really, really strong.
So Bastion Mastodon now the play for Marcotti, the 5-mana 4/5. Dakara Peafowl also playing, but Bas Mellis now missing a play. I can see some huge cards in his hand. There's an Angel hanging out, and there looks like the Cloud Blazer as well, as you said, Simon. I
was just gonna mention that Marcotti had used all but 1 or 2 mana during this game, and Bas Mellis. For Bas Mellis, it was the same. Only on turn 1 he didn't tap out for something, but now missing this land up. If he doesn't have a play, that's a huge tempo setback.
An attack with the Mastodon, given vigilance by the white mana that Marcotti's produced. An Aerial Responder, usually taking to the skies without any fear or favour, is being held back by that Foundry Screecher. Not a trade you want to make. Oh, here's Bas Mellis though. He has drawn the island, and we're going to see the Cloud Blazer slammed into play. Let's draw 2 cards from that.
Yeah, so now this was necessary for Bas, but now that it's happened, it of course also completely changes the dynamic of this game.
So draw 2, gain 2. Hugely powerful card here. And Bastion Mastodon comes in for another 4.
I think we might see Whisperer Angel blinking Cloud Blazer.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely bonkers here. That's the way to do it. The slowest Restoration Angel in the world, but still, you cannot deny the value. 6 mana, 4/4 flyer. Great stats on that card already. And then on top of that, if you can draw 2 and gain 2, geez, not a bad spot to be in here.
Are you greedy and try to get in for 2 first?
No.
Not a fan of greediness. No. Okay, probably correctly so.
Mate, if I had the option of winning the game, I would still
draw extra cards.
Draw extra cards, of course, mate.
Yeah. There might be a discussion if it's actually the right moment to do so. Okay, now that's an easy block.
Yeah, that's a nice attack there. That means that the Foundry Screecher is removed out of the way. The Cloud Blazer gets in for 2, and the aerial responder hits the bin. But now look at this, just oozing value. Oh, that is one of the sweetest plays is possible to make in this set, as Cloud Blazer draws 2 cards, gains 2 life for its controller.
And Melis with exactly 7 cards in hand, I believe.
So lots of mana, lots of cards. He'll be able to maneuver himself well here, taking to the air as well. The Bastion Mastodon comes in once again. Still no great blocks.
No, but
for Melis, but he doesn't have to block.
No, the game has already been taken to the air, basically.
Restoration Gearsmith returning the bat to Marcotti's hand here. The Foundry Screecher might have a bit of an encore performance. Oh, and it's Dovin Barn, the draw here for Baz Melis. A Planeswalker as well, so his deck seems super sweet.
That's what you need if you're playing blue-white. You need these powerful gold cards. And yeah, I was already liking the air superiority, but now it's just a lot more options. That's not an acrobatic maneuver, though, is it?
Is that an acrobatic maneuver? Are we going to see 6 cards and 6 life thanks to this Cloud Blazer? Perish the thought, Simon Gertzen.
We will.
We will. We absolutely will.
Maybe not when Baz is actually struggling to to hold all these cards already.
Yeah, absolutely. Like physically hold them in his hands. He's got so many. I think 8 cards in hand at the moment.
I think Frank is just telling him, how about we play some cards before drawing more? Winddrake, keep open acrobatic maneuver. What can go wrong?
We might see Consulate Skygate come down. On attack first for 6 in the air. That's a tidy little sum. Takes Marcotti down to 12.
Just play another flyer. This is all about the flyers. You can chump block. You can chump block the Mastodon if you want.
Jeez, acrobatic maneuver on the Cloud Blazer. Draw 3. Gain 2. 3 mana. Oh, look at this. Even better. Even better. Flickering the Angel. Back it comes. Draw a card. Flicker the Cloud Blazer. Giving your creatures vigilance. Drawing 3 cards. Gaining 2 life. Unbelievable stuff here. Baz Melis absolutely going off. He's got a billion, million, trillion cards in hand as well. 4 mana to deploy them. Looks like we're going to go straight to discard, though.
He's just sorting his hand.
Is he sorting his hand?
Well, he can.
He's got 2 drops to play. Yeah, surely.
He can still play
surely
cards.
You play
he
cards.
He could even play his Planeswalker.
Thought maybe a no. Just discarding. Just discarding a Glimmer of Genius and Nether Theorist. I thought that's what it was. Going straight to discard. He wants that feeling of holding 7 cards in hand. Maybe a counter spell.
Good reason. Yeah, good reason to pass the turn.
So now Melis with the opportunity to line up some attacks here, or some blocks I should say, after that bonkers turn that enabled him to just draw about half his deck. We'll see if this Cloud Blazer manages to enter the battlefield any more times. So far the tally is 6 cards and 6 life for Melis. See if he can squeeze any more value out of this particular juicy orange.
Is this an attack that with an Inspire charge, or is it just a desperation attack?
Bricata Pillarbug now with lifelink. And we see a couple of creatures die, a couple of creatures bounce off each other. Melis takes 4, and Marcotti gains 2.
I understand that you're happy about the life gain, but attacking into a board where your traits are this unfavorable seems a bit too aggressive for me.
So what are we going to see here? Is there an Ether Trade wins? There has to be some kind of play for Melis, otherwise he wouldn't have discarded here. I can see Ether Trade wins in hand. So we may see the Cloudblazer enter again, or it could be the Wispweaver Angel. Here's the Foundry Screecher, returned from the Restoration Gearsmith earlier on. Melis is a man who knows his way around a Cloudblazer. Jeez.
Yeah, it's... I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, but there's a bit too much value generation for me. Okay. Yeah, bounce a land instead of the Cloudblazer, because you didn't even have time to deploy all these cards.
So the Mastodon gets picked back up. Nice little tempo hit here for Melis. And his next play is a Dovin Barn. Shrink the Cloudblazer. -3, -0.
Foundry Screecher.
Sorry. That wouldn't be so hot, the Cloudblazer. And in come this flying army here for Baz Melis. Very aggressive posturing from him, which is good to see. The Pricata Pillarbug may be able to threaten the Dovin Barn, but Melis has 2 drops to play. He's got the Consulate Skygate. And
also, Dovin Barn losing to loyalty, not really a big issue. Baz is also not overextending. There could be a mass removal. There could be a mass removal waiting in the wings. Don't think that's going to happen though.
Underhanded design seems to be the offer that Marcotti is making here.
Is Baz actually holding some kind of counter magic?
Disappearing act or something?
It looks like he is.
He's doing the classic hover the permanent above the battlefield, which obviously generally means you're asking for permission here.
Also, he's in a sense playing in a way that signifies to me that he knows he has won this game, as long as he doesn't allow Marcotti to come back somehow.
Is there a disappearing act in the hand of Baz Melis, I should say?
Return your Cloudblazer to your hand.
Oh, buddy.
We will talk to Frank afterwards and tell him that there were certainly more cards to be drawn.
Yeah. Pricata Pillarbug gains lifelink and hits Dovin Barn down to 2. The underhanded designs was able to sneak through. It looks like Baz Melis, if indeed he has a counterspell, is saving it for something else. Avery, a mechanic. Is that going to coax out a counterspell? It is not. If there is even a counterspell. We're not 100% sure of this.
But if there's a removal spell or a bounce for the Foundry Screecher, it's also lights out for Marcotti.
He's on 8, staring down 3 flyers whose combined power totals 8. The Foundry Screecher, the only thing standing in the way here. But no, Melis, without a play, draws a card. See Island played now. So 8 mana available to him. You would think a removal spell would be immediately forthcoming should Melis have that option available to him. And here we see a potential attack. It looks like it may just be the Wispweaver Angel here.
Did Marcotti have the option to leave open underhanded designs, but didn't? Ah, he has the Prophetic Prism.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably on purpose to, like, as a way to trick your opponent, quote unquote.
Dovin Barn shrinking the Pricata Pillarbug here.
So the Air Force is mostly gone.
Yeah. Yeah, Marcotti clawing his way back into it with the Consulate Skygate coming down, in addition to the Windrake. So more pressure in the air here for Baz Melis. And look at that. 1 blue. The card is the mana that is left up once again. He's trying to strike fear into the heart of Marcotti, getting up into his brain zone, trying to provide that psychological pressure. I don't think he's got a counterspell. I haven't seen it.
But Baz and his team, they decided on this line, and of course now you have to...
You have to stick to it. Oh, you have to stick to it.
Also, a Gearseeker Serpent could become relevant if this game continues.
I think it is a disappearing act, actually. I think it is. The first card in his hand, they're all the way to the left. I only got a glimpse of the corner of it, but I think it is a disappearing act.
It does make the most sense, and I agree. This is the blue-white control leg that we really haven't seen all weekend.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, it needs a lot of pieces to come together. We've seen Cloud Blazers, we've seen some pinpoint removal, and we've seen cards like Dovin Baan. It's not a card you can, not a deck you can just cobble together at a moment's notice, Zimai.
No, but that many flyers, Skygate, 4 toughness creatures to hold down the fort, and so yeah, this is it.
Melis now.
He gets to choose an artifact and a creature from his graveyard, which Bas Melis doesn't want to allow.
The old build your own divination here with Fortuitous Find. So that is going to prompt the disappearing act here for Bas Melis, and the Fortuitous Find disappears.
And Makodi was aware of it for a while, so.
Melis now, drawing very close here. Three mana, and it's a Filigree Familiar. Melis draws 2, or sorry, gains 2, not quite as good as drawing 2. And Gearseeker Serpent also coming down for 4 mana. And let's give the Drukhari Peafowl flying and knock out half your life total. Activation of Dovin Baan as well, not forgetting that, on the Bricata Pillarbug. And it's back to Marcotti. He's down to 4. Can he find a way out here? At this stage, dead in the air to those 2 flyers. Melis tapped out. Oh, let's not forget about the Gearseeker Serpent.
And that's the last game of the last match that is deciding who will enter the top 4 of GP Rotterdam.
I can see Kambal in the hand of Marcotti here. He's going to have to conjure up something pretty special to get himself out of this. Bas Melis knows that he is only 1 turn away from a top 4 finish here at GP Rotterdam. It's coming down to this, so very close. Marcotti making sure he knows which Pillarbug has been shrunk. It is the one at the top of your screen, the one on his right. Aviary Mechanic, Bricata Pillarbug to the bottom of the screen. Remain unchanged. Discussion going on with teammates here. A few cards in hand, as I mentioned, one of them Kambal. The Bricata Pillarbug comes in. We'll see a block with the Gearseeker Serpent. And presumably an activation to give it lifelink. Does Marcotti have anything else? There's the activation. Buffer up his life total to 6 here.
A bit outclassed, I have to say.
Yeah.
The cards, and often this was the Pillarbug decks that ended up being outclassed. It doesn't seem like a card that actually achieves enough for the power level of Team Sealed.
And look at this, you can see, I think the die at the top of your screen represents the fact that we are now in turns. Time has been called on this round. Acrobatic maneuver being cycled here by Marcotti. He's up to 6. Still dead to the board of Bas Melis. Extends the hands. Congratulations, Frank Karsten, Brent Voss, and Bas Melis in the top 8, or the top 4, I should say, of GP Rotterdam. An absolute nail-biter to close out the Swiss. What a pleasure it's been to bring you coverage of this round. But, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. The top 4 draft will be upon us before you know it. We'll see you soon. Stick around, everybody, here at GP Rotterdam.